The Olsinski Law Firm is an official sponsor of Top Bin 90, specializing in personal injury, criminal defense, DWI, family law, and workers' compensation. The Olsinski Law Firm provides professional, trusted legal services to clients facing a variety of challenges. With a team of experienced attorneys dedicated to protecting your rights, the Olsinski Law Firm is the legal support you can count on.
Hi, I'm Justin Olsinski, the founding partner of the Olsinski Law Firm. Me and my wife started this firm back in 2010 with the sole purpose of providing excellent service to our clients, giving our clients a personal touch because we had worked in bigger firms where we saw that not happening. We handle criminal defense matters, civil personal injury, wrongful death, workers' comp, and family law matters. We have a team of attorneys that care about the outcome of your case, and we will fight to make sure that you get the justice you deserve.
Hello and welcome to an all-new episode of the Top Bin 90 podcast, episode 54. We have wrapped up. I just got out of a hurricane tornado. There was a cow that was blowing, but we made it to the show because there's nothing more important than being with the fans. And someone that knows about being with the fans is my co-host, Mr. Brian Bam Media. How are you?
Doing well, man. Doing well. I was worried about the reports coming out of NODA, but clearly clear skies all day. No tornadoes dropping down.
For sure. And someone who really knows about the fan base is Mr. Lee from CLTFC Fan TV. How are you?
What's up, man? I think you got it messed up, Brian. Jorge was the only place that didn't get hit.
Yeah. Hey, I like with how much ease now I can say. I remember the first time I was like, Lee from CLTF Fan. Yeah, like I used to mess up a lot. But we're seasoned vets now in the game of Charlotte FC and covering the team.
And sending links.
That's a conversation for another day. With that said, Charlotte had a draw against Miami's B team. Unfortunately, 80% of the people that showed up to see Messi, didn't get to see him, as was reported online. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to be talking about Zaha's presser last week where, he mentioned, again, talking about the refs and what's going on. And so I kind of want Lee's opinion, Brian as well. We're going to talk about expectations for fans, right? 35,000 the first weekend, 34,000 last weekend. Will we continue to see kind of that trend against New York Red Bulls? And of course, we're going to preview that game as well. And with that said, let's get into it. Lee, Charlotte failed to beat Miami's B team. Give me your initial impressions of the match.
I think when you interviewed me before, right, I said a 1-1 draw, right? I didn't think, regardless, we were going to be able to win. I mean, Kalina would come up with that clutch save. I believe that was in the first half, right? It stopped them from scoring. Other than that, it was a game of very limited opportunities, in my opinion. We got a draw. We got Miami out of the way, right? It would have been nice, like you said, their B team to get 3 points, but we didn't drop points either, right? So in that regard, I feel like we're in the same spot there with, at least with Miami, right? I'm sure the other results around us didn't help.
Yeah, it didn't. I mean, for me, I wanted a full 3 points off of this match.
So
they debuted how many academy kids? One guy just finished school to come play. No, I'm kidding. But like that game was there for the taking, and we're at home at the bank, right? No Messi, no DePaul. Suarez is barely playing now in days, and it felt like everything was set up, Brian, for Charlotte to take the 3 points.
Yeah, I think this was actually a big missed opportunity. I think it was 10 of 11 were rotated. Silvetti was the only guy who has been starting regularly out of this entire group, and Noah Allen. But Noah Allen had been playing left back, covering for Jordi Alba's retirement, and then Sergio Reguilon was hurt. This is his first start of the season. So if you look at the amount of guys who were just like on limited minutes, hadn't gotten a lot of reps, that was this entire lineup. I think 2 academy kids had their first starts ever in this game. So it would have been like if Charlotte had put out like an Aloko and Aaron John for their first starts is like the equivalent of for Charlotte FC. And I just think in that situation, especially again, if you, I mean, I'm going to hammer this point over and over and over until they start getting wins in these situations. But if you are going to preach cohesion, continuity, strong preseason, and then you go up against a team with 2 academy kids and a bunch of guys who aren't getting minutes regularly and the backup goalkeeper and on and on and on and on, like, where's the advantage? And especially at home. And I think, yes, Miami is a deep team. They clearly have a ton of talent. It's also going to be a strong area to recruit from, all these things. But at the same time, like, if you're going to be a top team, like, and preach going for trophies, top of the table, all that stuff, like, you got to take advantage of these. These are the situations that I think you got to take advantage of if you're going to actually get yourself over the hump. And a 0-0 draw at home, not putting up any goals, especially against a team that has historically not been a very good defense, and they don't even have their goalkeeper of the year in there. I think there's a lot of reasons for talking Toklamati having a strong, I don't know what that was, a strong matchup. Dean Smith and Zorn came in to try to shut me off right there.
They wanted to deflate you.
But yeah, I would say, I mean, if you're just looking at Toklamati going up against the center back pairing, I feel like he should have had an advantage against those guys. Luan and Noah Allen. Again, Noah Allen playing primarily left back up until now. And so I just feel like there was a lot of situations where they should have had an advantage. Zaha as well. I think that was the fact that we didn't really mention his name for like the first 30 minutes of the game. He was like a non-factor, not imposing his will. And Miami really having control of the game for the first 30 minutes on the road with feeling comfortable out there, I think is a problem. Yeah. And then the first time we really mentioned Zaha is because he's running across the field to pick up a yellow. And then Daniel Pinter, an 18-year-old kid in his like first start, ruffles his feathers like immediately, and he just completely loses it and probably could have picked up a second yellow with that arm to his face. And I just think it's just, again, it's like kind of that emotional immaturity in these key moments to really just step up and make a difference and make an impact. And I think Zaha, I was not impressed with his performance at all.
Yeah, and on top of that, he had that opportunity too, you know. I mean, I don't know what more he could have done, where it was who gave him that kind of cross and he hit the ball and went straight at the goalkeeper. I can't remember.
Oh, Bronico it was the header in the second half, and he was like at the 6th. Zaha had 3 solid chances. That one was the best
for sure.
But he had 3 chances in transition in the second half. That was one of my other points I was going to make. Was I feel like they were not ruthless in transition in the attack at all. Not able to combine. Not when they had numbers, when they got the ball over in advanced positions. And Zaha had 3 looks at goal and couldn't make anything happen of any of them.
Yeah, Leo Labata too.
Labata
first half. Yeah, you know that perfect opportunity could have gone 1v1 and kind of put the ball a little bit wide before he shot, gave the defender enough time to get back. And also the shot was not even on target, you know? And so one of the things that really annoyed me about this game too was that, like, you know how Miami's going to be. They're going to be chippy. They're going to annoy you. They're going to annoy the referee. Like, bro, like, there should have been some sort of conversation saying, hey, this past year and now, look at this Miami team. They are known for this. You know Suarez is going to be on the ground. You know they're going to try to call everything. And it felt like they got under Charlotte FC's skin so easily. Zaha, Ashley Westwood, a lot of these guys, you know, they winded them up really fast. And I think that was an issue too. Instead of us trying to find how to better play the game, we kind of go into what the other team's trying to do. And for a team, like you said, I need to get you a shirt that says, if you're going to preach cohesion.
I know. I think it's every single week, I think, so far.
Yeah. If we're going to see that, like, you can't be getting rattled this easily. And 2, right, when we ask questions about the lineups and how things are, like, hey, we're more focused on our game. Well, clearly not if these guys are easily rattled by a team that's known for, I like to call Miami the rage baiters. They're just really good at it. It's that South American kind of style. Me and Tonya were talking a little bit about it, that you know they're going to be chippy. They're going to try to win balls. They're always, even if they commit the foul, they're going to tell you that they're not. That's just the style of Miami, and credit to them, it works. They had 0-0 focus on this match. They didn't care about this game. They have a high-level CONCACAF Champions League game up next Wednesday against Nashville. That's the important game. And this game, it really does frustrate me that we're not able to pull 3 points here, especially if we're going to be trying to shoot for a top 4 finish again. And like you said, Brian, hey, we have to try to get, supporter shield kind of level team. Well, like if you can't beat a Miami B team with a whole bunch of academy players, then you got to start reassessing what we're doing wrong and try to correct those. And speaking of that, leave 4 yellow cards for Zaha in 4 matches, and so next game he gets another one, he gets suspended. What do you make of, how easily Wilfred Zaha is getting yellows?
Well, so Zaha, we know, right? He's gonna, to his credit, right? I think the MLS refs should be doing better protecting him, right? And I mean, it was early on in the game too when he got that yellow, right? But with that being said, Suarez was chirping all game at that ref, right? Chirping at everybody. That guy couldn't talk himself into the book. Like, I feel like he went out there to try and get a yellow card and just couldn't get one. Like, so it's like, we call it out with VAR and everything else. Like, it's just different rules every week for different teams and different people, right? So it's definitely not consistent on the refs part. But then Zaha, knowing that, he kind of just needs to bite his lip, right? And just kind of suck it up and, let Westwood do the talking, right? He's the captain. He should be able to go to the ref, right? And maybe he'll start getting some calls if he wasn't so in the face of these the referees, right? But I do feel bad for the guy. I feel like he's getting kicked and clipped and everything all day long. And, I think somebody asked a question on that interview, right? It's like, is this going to sort of come into play with negotiations for your contract, right? And it's like, you can't blame the guy. He's up there and, at the end of his career pretty much, right? And it's, one tree man could ruin it for him.
For sure. And I don't really think, like, when that question was brought up, he had to think about it. So it wasn't like something that was already on his mind. It's like, that's kind of a good point. So I think it's a secondary thing, right? Like, I don't really think it'll play that much of a role. I think it's more going to be what the money looks like and what kind of the project Charlotte's willing to give him, is what I really think it's going to be. Now, what I want to know now is do we just have to get used to this being a thing? Because Zaha is definitely not going to change, and I think the way things are being called against him aren't going to change either. At some point, like, I think we were talking about this, Brian, it was kind of good that he got the yellow kind of early because he could have easily gotten a red card this match.
Yeah. And that's where I go. I feel like, for me, I feel like Zaha goes into every game kind of carrying the resentment of every call he feels like he didn't get from the weeks before, and he takes it out on every single ref ever. And so I feel like when he goes in, I feel like he almost goes into the game already behind, just mentally. At this point, it's happened so frequently. He goes into the game with the mentality of like, the ref is against me. And I feel like he almost beats himself before the whistle even starts. And I feel like he's already behind. Now the ref is already behind. And now everything just is easier to reanimate it. Like, he totally within the ref's right to give him a yellow this game. He went across the field in a play he was not involved in and crowded the ref. Now, could you say like, hey, yeah, maybe he should have given it to Suarez. Suarez on that play was actually involved in that play, so he was closer. But at that point, you're nitpicking different situations, and he sets himself up for a spot where, I mean, we don't know what actually was said, but like, he puts himself in that position to where now you're within reason to where the ref is allowed to do that. So but the ref gave him a favor, not give. I mean, because that looked like it could have even been a straight red. Like it looked like a full extension arm into that kid's face, and right in front of the bench. And so there was a lot of
that resentment. Add that 99% of the teams are like, when we play Charlotte, wind up Zaha. And it's like such a easy play to do, and it's gonna work. And then add wind up Zaha, and imagine you tell that to an Inter Miami who's known for stuff like this. It just 10x's it,
Yeah.
And so
so like flip the script. So if say Aaron John gets a start and he winds up Suarez like this, we would be like, wow, look at how quickly Aaron John is able to get under this kid's, like under Suarez's face. Like what tactical, like we would be in awe of like how quickly this young kid came out of nowhere to get in Suarez's face. That's what Pinter did to Zaha. It shouldn't be possible. Like Zaha should be like, he has dealt with so many situations in his career.
Yeah.
How does this kid do this to him? And I think that for me is like the biggest underlying question is how did an academy kid in his like first MLS start going like, I'm going to go get Zaha, wind him up like that? I just think there's a level where that shouldn't be possible. I get that he doesn't get calls sometimes. I get all those other things. But at the same time, we're talking about a teenager.
Yeah, I do think, I mean, in my opinion, Zaha does have a point. Like it's clear, like, yes, like you get felt like there's a correlation between like you get treated unfairly, but at the same time, he doesn't help his cause.
No.
So it's harder to try to bat for somebody that doesn't help his cause, right? And so that's what we have to continue to see. Like, and I think for me now, it's like, okay, well, like going into most matches now, I'm going to expect Wilfred Zaha to get a yellow, because they're going to try to rattle him up. And if there's a play that's not being called because of the nature of the player that he is, he's going to put himself into positions where he's going to get a yellow. That's just the reality. He's not changing. The way the game is being whistled and refereed isn't going to be changed, right? And so, and I think that's just going to come at the cost of him missing one or two more games this season, right? Because there's a good chance he gets a yellow this next game. Like, I mean, he's 4 for 4, so... with that said, I also wanted to talk a little bit about Morrison Ajiman. Second game for Charlotte, and you know what? The kid looks like, he is a really bright spot for this Charlotte FC squad right now. Now, I think from a passing standpoint, I think he's got to improve a little bit, but there's a really good raw talent in there. Brian, talk to us a little bit about Morrison.
Yeah, actually, I think Kalina probably said it best in his post-match presser when he talked about just his athleticism, his ability to run. He's fast, kind of complements all the things that Tim Ream maybe doesn't have. So it was like all the strengths that Tim Ream has, the passing, the distribution, the calmness on the ball. Maybe Morrison's a little bit more raw in, but in the physical traits, the 1v1, the strong tackling, all the things that maybe Ream's a little weaker in. So I think the two of them will just complement each other a little bit better. And that's what Kalina really broke down in the presser. I think that's really what we're starting to see. It's just two center backs that play a little bit differently that should complement each other.
Yeah, and I think I asked Tim Ream that question before the season started. I was like, hey, what kind of center back compliments you well? And he didn't really have a really good answer, just kind of gave some specifics. And I think like what you're mentioning, Morrison kind of is adding a lot of that. And that's what we needed. Lee, what do you make of Morrison so far? Given, how tough it was for Andrew Privet, especially in LA. We haven't seen one of our founding fathers, Henry Kessler, yet. So,
yeah. No, I mean, to Brian's point, man, I think and you said it too, right? I think he's got lots of potential. As the season progresses, we'd like to see, like you said, the passing sort of get better and that sort of thing. But, I just hope, sometimes I wonder about these young kids if they kind of get coached out of their raw potential, right? Because then they start getting told to do this versus that, and then they start overthinking the game. So it'll be interesting to see, as the season progresses, if he can continue where he's at. Right now, it's definitely his job to lose, right? I mean, Privet's,
yeah, for sure. I mean, he's ahead of Andrew Privet now, easily. Now we'll see when Henry Kessler comes into this lineup, how that changes that dynamic. Because I mean, at the end of the day, I still want to see Henry Kessler in this lineup and see, if he's up to par, right? I mean, given.
Do you bench Morrison as soon as he comes back, or like after?
I don't know if I do it as soon as he comes back, but maybe I give him a couple, maybe like 30 minutes, one game, and then kind of work him into the starting lineup.
So we're going to Ream's going to get dropped then eventually, huh? Right before the World Cup.
That would be a crazy thing to happen, But I mean, on the positive side too, I mean, they kept a clean sheet this weekend. So I mean, that's got to help in terms of the chemistry, the confidence of those guys to say, okay, well, we kept another team from scoring on us, even though like Austin had 10 men last game and that own goal by Morrison as well. So
do the wine thing for those guys when they have a clean sheet.
I think that's long gone, dude. I mean, the price of wine has gone up, and so given inflation, and the tornadoes going on in Charlotte, I don't think they're doing that anymore.
Yeah. No, but I just think Morrison, he's got plenty of potential, and if he keeps going the way he's going, he's going to be a solid center back for us.
For sure.
Actually, I feel like Reem had a pretty good game this last week as well. I feel like he played decently tough. He got stuck in a few times and really like had to battle a few times. There was like the one really big collision that he had. But I feel like he was down to make a couple of those last ditch runs that were needed. I felt like he felt a little bit more comfortable back there this week.
Absolutely. And I mean, Kalina continues to show he is a top goalkeeper in MLS. He has the mentality, man. Like I really appreciate a guy like Kalina. Sure, he's had his blunders in the past, but overall he's always key. Look, he had that save he had was phenomenal, and that's what you want more often than not from your goalkeeper, right? A guy that's going to kind of keep you in the games, and then from your DPs, you want them to win or get you points. So
Dean always downplays Kalina's performances. Have you noticed that? He'll always be like Kalina's performance, and he'll be like, "I have one good save, and then 3 he should have had." And he'll like do that like every game. Like, well, he had like 3 saves. Like even at the St. Louis game, there was like 10 saves. Like, well, like 3 were from in the box. He'll like say things like that.
I mean, I do remember those instances, but now I don't remember the frequency of when he says it. Yeah. I think we need to test that out.
Yeah, I feel like I've noticed it's kind of consistent. Where like anytime people want to hype up Kalina's performances, he'll like kind of downplay, like, well, there was like maybe 2 good saves. I think because maybe Dean takes a front to it as like the defensive setup overall. Like if you start talking about how intense Kalina has to bail you out, it's like a downplay to the entire team structure and stuff. But maybe
for sure. I mean, he's man of the match your first 2 games. You lost 3-0 the second game. So also I do want to touch a little bit on Idan Toklomati, right? Wearing the number 9 last week, he scored. He kind of brushed himself off saying, hey, like, to me that feels like, okay, the pressure of being the 9, but Lee, 1 goal in 4 games. It feels like a slow start for Idan Toklomati at Charlotte FC this season.
Yeah, I mean, compared to how he was playing in preseason, for sure, right? I mean, there was a lot of expectations. I will say when Archie came on, he looked pretty lively and sort of ready to go. So it'd be interesting. I mean, if he doesn't start scoring or at least like being in the game, I think he like disappeared most of the game Saturday.
Yeah, and then also on top of that, Brian, Dean's mentioned that like he hasn't been. I guess the first 2 games, like he's like, I needed to see a little bit more from Idan. He was pretty critical of him,
Yeah, and I think what Lee, you kind of touched on it, was like he wasn't connected into play this last week, and we touched on it in Billy's stock up, stock down. He only made 1 pass attempt in or around the box. If you look like where he was making his passes, everything was backwards and nowhere near the box. And that 1 pass he made around the box was incomplete. Like he didn't even connect play in or around the 18 at all in this game. And I think for a player who generally you think of as a guy who wants to combine with his wingers and with Biel in terms of some nice passing and 1-2s and stuff like that. Like that's what I feel like was the difference between a Toklomati versus an Ajiman who wants to be 1v1 with defenders all day. Toklomati, you kind of want to have him in numerical advantage situations where he's playing off of wingers and attacking midfielders in and around the box. And I don't feel like we've seen that at all. We've seen him have to get stuck in 1v1 a lot. And I haven't liked what I've seen, to be honest. Like he was like on the ground a lot. Seemed like he was getting beat up out there against a center back line that, again, like I touched on earlier, like not super physically imposing, not even the starting unit. And I don't feel like he imposed his will on them like at all. And I think that's an issue moving forward because you're going to be going up against way better backlines this season.
Yeah, but I would also say the way we're playing isn't helping him either. Like,
no, it's definitely not. He needs,
not creating enough
opportunities
for him.
No,
and so that's, I mean, Idan will find the spaces to be. We saw it against Austin. He knew where to be. right? And so we're not playing to his strengths, as you're saying, you know.
Yeah.
And so because of that, he's also, I wouldn't necessarily call it struggling. He's just, like we mentioned, he's having kind of a slower start, you know. But then again, it's how we're playing, you know. So I'm very interested to see what happens in this Red Bulls game that will be happening this weekend. I do want to touch also on Mr. Brant Bronico, you know, the guy that I'm going burger for burger with.
You are
150 appearances for Brant. You know, obviously when he was first signed, you know, we were gonna be like, yo, Brant is a good depth piece for Charlotte FC. You know, this year I was like, bring in Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets, Prime. Brant's gonna find his way to get in, and lo and behold, Brant has found his way to get back into that lineup. Lee, what do you have to say about a guy like Brant Bronico? 150 appearances for Charlotte FC.
I mean, Bronico's gonna Bronico, man, right? I mean,
Charlotte's gonna Charlotte, Bronico's gonna Bronico. I like that.
I mean, you know, kudos to him, man. You know, it's like, you know, the first game he essentially dropped, right? And, you know, instead of like just coming down and just keeping his head down or whatever and kind of pouting, for lack of better terms, right? He continues to have that grind set, right? I mean, he pushes that grind set. And as you can see, he comes on and he's playing. I mean, he's right back in the squad. He's in the mix of things again. You know, it's going to be interesting to see what Dino does, you know, next week. But, you know, Bronico has got to be, if not, you know, first 12 players, right?
Yeah, absolutely. In and around that. And like, I do feel like what happens with this team and what Wilfred Zaha kind of alluded to last game is like, when they try to evolve the way they play, it's like, hey, like we need to get Brant out. But what's comfortable and what works requires Brant Bronico. I mean, so it's very interesting kind of how that dynamic is playing. But to me, like Brant is the type of guy that you want in your team. You're going to get more often than not 7 out of 10s out of him. You know, he may not have a phenomenal game, but he's also most likely not going to have a bad game either. You know, and those kind of useful players are very important for teams, especially in MLS.
Yeah,
Brian?
you need some floor raisers, and Bronico's an absolute floor raiser. Again, like you said, I mean, he a lot of 7s, and early in the season, the first couple of games when he's not in there, Dean's like, I don't even know if we had a 6 on the field, and like that's just Bronico you can trust to be a 7 every single week, no matter what, 60, 70 minutes, and I think that's just what one of his greatest strengths is. And then on top of it, like when you're trying to get your fullbacks forward and you're having this issue with the midfielders playing in behind, Bronico can cover that space. And I think so there's just a lot of strengths that he specifically provides to this team from the start that other players just don't. And I think that's why I never saw him as an option off the bench. He's an endurance guy. Why would you put him in for the sprint? Yeah. He's the endurance athlete. So I think there's other guys in this roster that are sprinters that you can put in for the last 20, 30 minutes. I'm even considering, I think at this point, because he's still on the roster, like Abada, almost like whereas Vargas can kind of put in the work early, put in Abada late. Somebody, you know, just give yourself some other options. But I think these floor raising guys, Bronico, your Vargases, they're useful out of the gate because you can trust what they're going to give you. It might always not be stats that jump off the page, but like at least you have some guys out there that can raise the floor. And then again, bring the energy that you couldn't trust because it wasn't there for the first couple games. Like the fact that Dean had to keep saying like, hey, we weren't up for the game. Even in this one, weren't up for the game quite for the first 30. It's like there's certain guys that you can just count on to at least do their part to bring that energy.
Absolutely. And yeah, I think one of the main things and kind of going back into like those key players, like you're mentioning, like Abada, like I feel like that's kind of where we lost the game too. Like Zaha didn't really have a great game. Pep Biel didn't really have a great game. Abada, to be fair, was kind of like the best out of the three, the most lively. But then again, he had that opportunity that he didn't put in the back of the net. And that's what we're asking for DPs, especially like a guy like him who's on year 3 with us, where, you know, you put that goal away against Miami, you start changing that narrative that you're not the right DP for Charlotte FC. But if you can't pull it then, you know, you're just adding on to the pile of people that already doubt why you're still starting, why you're still a DP at Charlotte FC. That's just the reality of how things are.
And it changes the narrative at that point, right? Because they were kind of up against it, playing against the run of play in the first 20, 25 minutes. About a nabs a goal at that point, you probably put these kids in a completely different spot. Now down a goal on the road. It changes the whole dynamic of the game.
Nice. And then, you know, Lee, I want to ask you this because we asked Dean, does this feel like 2 points dropped or instead of 1 point gain? He said no. You know, they still have a phenomenal squad. They're MLS Cup champs. Then we asked Brent Bronico the question, and he says, absolutely, we should have taken advantage of it. Where are you at with that? Was this a 1 point gained or 2 point loss?
I mean, it's, you know, the situation being, like we said, right, being at home, you know, we expect more from Charlotte, right, at least against somebody's B team. But I never felt the whole time, right, again, going back to that pregame interview we did, Jorge, it's like I knew it was going to be like a 1-1 or something, right?
Yeah, you called it, bro.
So I just thought it was going to be a scrappy sort of game, right? And that's essentially what we got, right? So did we lose 2 points? I don't know. It's just a wash, right? I mean, if you had said at the beginning of the season when you looked at the schedule, like we're just draw Miami, would you have taken it?
No, because I think we can beat them at home.
You know, we beat them at home last year.
We beat them 3-0 last year with Messi. So at home, I expect them to win.
That's fair. I just doing it. I just don't think we're sharp enough up top yet. Like, you know, we're not creating many opportunities, right? And when we get opportunities, we're not putting them away.
Which to me, it just annoys me that like there's no, again, like I'm going to what Brian's saying, like we're preaching consistency and cohesion, right? And it feels like it's still not there, you know? Like there's some moments we have it and some moments we don't. And then I look at Nashville and it feels like, you know, year 2, they're evolving as a team. And I still feel like we don't know how to evolve yet as a team.
I just don't think we played.
They brought in a new piece. Like Espinosa slotted right in, whereas like this is the same 4. Like these guys have been together for over a year now.
That's what I'm saying.
Don't play fast enough. We're too slow and predictable.
Yeah. And Brian brings a really good point too from the Yeti clan. You know, what does Dean see in Tiger Smalls? And so we don't have nothing against Tiger Smalls, right? But I feel like there's more effective wingers out there, aka your Alocos in Crown Legacy, your Nymfashas out there that are putting in really good numbers, right? And so I didn't see anything from Tiger last season or just so far this season that kind of gives me like, okay, like I kind of see why, you know, Dean's using him, right? Lee, is the British accent that good that it gets you minutes into the first team at Charlotte FC?
It is when Pops is British too. So, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, unless we're going to bring these players up, right? You know, we were counting on depth this offseason, I think. And I don't think we hit all the spots that we needed, right? And so you asked Dean to change it up, you know, 70th minute. Like, who's really going to come in and change up the game other than Vargas?
Yeah, that's a really good point, you know. Brian?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we've seen much from this bench for – probably like the last 6 months plus, longer than that. I mean, especially during down. I think the first real example of it was down the stretch during the New York City series last year in the playoffs. It was like, Pascal Janssen is like bringing on Hannes Wolf. Maybe not like locked in starter every week, but like the guy had like double-digit goal contributions. He's bringing him off the bench. He's like rotating pieces around where he just has a ability to play 13, 14, 15 different guys, and it seemed like it was making a difference. Maybe not always just playing his strongest 11, but having a way to like, okay, this is my 11 to get me through 60, 70 minutes, and then I have options to kind of evolve and change the way I'm playing down the final stretch of the last 20 minutes. It seems like Dean is just like, I have an 11. We're going to get to 70 minutes, and then I guess I'll just rotate some guys in just because – legs or whatever, like, and he just kind of is just like, and then it's just like the next guy's up, and then it's like a significant, usually I mean, maybe not even a drop because it's actually like you said, Lee, like Archie brought some energy, but it's like wasn't a huge like impact, and like
he's
not bringing the goals.
Right, I'd be curious at how he would look if he started.
I agree, Brian. I said this last year. I said this probably 8, 9 months
Yeah.
ago, where I'm like, hey, like these are again the perfect opportunities, games like this, where a veteran striker can sniff out a goal. Where
Yeah.
they're going to come in, they're like, this is a tight game. It doesn't need to be a tight game. These are a whole bunch of academy kids that we're playing. I can figure out, I am experienced enough to understand some of the movements of this back line, where to be and how to get an opportunity to either nag a penalty or be in the right spot to win it 1-0 for us coming off the bench at minute 72. And I mean, Archie is just a still young, like, I don't hold anything against Tiger or Archie, but at the same time, like I need players that are going to come off the bench that are going to actually make a true impact in the game.
I think Archie tried, man. He tried. It just didn't have enough time, right? Like you could see.
Yeah, I mean, he had that header near the end that kind of went wide,
Right.
And so like you could see like he's amped up for it, right? But like he hasn't come in and actually truly been effective in any game. That's kind of the overall messaging I'm getting at,
Yeah, I mean,
last time, like he had that goal contribution against New York in the playoffs, right? Where he kind of hit it to Toklo, who scored, and so, but like there's still like he hasn't had a true impact, and that's where like I'm like, okay, like Archie's gonna come in and I'm like, okay, he's gonna be a little bit more lively, but can he get us a goal? We haven't seen a goal, that's what I need, goals.
Yeah, so how long do you give him until Takamani until he loses his spot, right? And then Archie takes over and gets the start for us.
Yeah, I mean, I think Toklo's doing enough now. Obviously, he hasn't started as high flying, but again, like I put like maybe like 40% blame on him, and more on the tactics and our inability to actually like provide enough volume for him. So, okay. I do also want to talk a little bit about the lies that the internet is spewing, saying that 80% of the people were there to see Messi, right? I'm like, if you just look, also, we had less people there than the home opener. Now, one thing is true. The people that go in game that are there more often, did they use this as an opportunity to try to make some money and sell their tickets to Messi fans? Absolutely. Because half the people that we were trying to interview, we asked if they were from Charlotte and they said no. Right. But I think overall, kind of sending that message that 80% of the crowd is in there because I'm like, come on, guys, like we can do better. And anyways, I hate seeing stuff like that because it's just misinformation being spread.
Yeah. Well, we know right off the bat that it's 50% at least in a stadium where season ticket holders are somewhere thereabouts, right? And so right off the rip, we know that it's significantly different in terms of what people are there for. And then on top of that, I wouldn't even say that the other 50% is all just there to see Messi. Definitely. Was there a large percentage? Like you said, a lot of these people came from out of town. Those people definitely there to see Messi, right? If you're coming 4 or 5 hours, you're there to see Messi, and you're just not in a closer MLS market. Probably not even really a target as an MLS. Like MLS teams aren't really targeting you as part of like the core fan base to come to games because like you're 5 hours away. You're not going to be a regular at the stadium. But I would say it's probably closer to reverse. Maybe 20% were there like solely to see Messi.
Yeah, I'd go a little higher. I'd probably say like 30%.
And then a lot of people were there to see Messi lose. Huh?
I said I would go a little higher. Maybe like 30% of the people in there were probably there.
Okay.
Even Charlotte
fans. I was there to see Messi, according to Brian. Yeah.
I mean, even the Charlotte fans, though, some of them were Messi fans, right? I mean, you have a strong Argentinian following, right? And I'm sure that they were Messi fans, right? And then these little kids, that enjoy the sport, they were probably Messi fans as well. I felt kind of low-key attacked there, Jorge, about talking about selling a ticket and taking advantage of the game, but whatever.
I'm not saying that as in a bad way anyway, as well. Like, I didn't want it to come across like that. I mean, like, I understand. Like, you're there every game and, like, hey, there's an opportunity to make a little money off of this game. I would do the same thing, to be honest with you. Like, if I was just a regular fan, right, and I've seen Messi a couple of times, and I'm like, you know what, people are going to pay premium dollar, tickets aren't cheap to begin with, so, I mean, that's just me, Yeah. And so, but that goes on into that, like, narrative that, like, 80% of people were there. I'm like, no, that's not true either.
No.
What is going to be interesting, though, and we'll touch a little bit on this, is what kind of crowd should we expect for this third game, right? Because obviously the home opener, right, you're always going to get a big turnout, right? Even with the lower bowl closed, they filled out the bottom. Second game, you're promoting Inter Miami, you're promoting Lionel Messi, who didn't even come in, right? But this third game, Brian, do you think will tell us a little bit about what the actual crowds will be like? We're playing, a New York Red Bull is the third game at home, third consecutive Charlotte FC game to add to that as well.
Yeah, no, I think this is kind of the one I had circled in terms of seeing like what the actual attendance numbers are going to be like for the season. I think that's also why it was important to get a result this last weekend and like get all 3 points, score a couple of goals when the crowd is going to be hyped and up for it, get 2 wins back to back to build some momentum into this third straight home game. And I think that's where also getting a 0-0 draw, especially not scoring, not giving the crowd a goal, I think impacts a game week to week in terms of bringing some people back. I think it's going to, I think the main thing is like, can they get plus 30,000? And that's the main, like if we see a plus 30,000, maybe they keep building some momentum through the international break and then keep that number up. But I think that's really, after we were talking about like closing the upper bowl, can they keep that average plus 30K this year for the whole season without any upper bowl games boosting that attendance?
Yeah, we saw a plenty of games last season where it dipped under that 30.
Yeah.
Right. So that's kind of, I was kind of going to go in that route too. Like it's got to be 30 plus for me. Like most games, I will give you a Wednesday night where it's under 30. I get it. Wednesday, 7:30, 7 o'clock kickoff is not ideal for people. But Saturday matches, we should see about 30,000 people minimum at that stadium. Lee?
Yeah, just to kind of what Brian said, right? This is really going to be where the bar is set for the season. Especially again, right? We got the ACC still in town, right? I think I'm sure there's going to be some games going on Saturday. I don't know if the Hornets are playing. No, I guess not with the ACC, but we're competing against some other things. And yes, I think now the season opener's done. Miami's gone, right? Nobody's looking at the calendar and be like, "Oh yes, we're playing New York Red Bulls this week," right? And so it's going to be interesting.
You're not hype about Audrey Mehmedi, bro?
I can't say that I am, right? But yeah, we'll see, right? I figure probably about like 28,000 or so, to be honest with you.
Interesting. Yeah, I do feel like this weekend they had more to compete with than this weekend. You had the bar crawl. People are up for that. You had ACC tournament, right? So there was a lot more competition. But the poll that you had for Charlotte was like, "Yo, Messi is coming into town," and he didn't even come. So I think you have less to compete with this particular weekend. And so we'll really see that. And plus, I guess they're giving a basketball jersey, according to Brian from Yeti Clan. And so that'll get people in the door as well. Those bobblehead nights, they tend to do well as well. So we'll see what happens, But yeah, from a supporter standpoint, Lee, like how does the season feel so far for you? Now that we're 2 games in, we had a lot of talk about, how it feels like there's a lack of connection, going into the season.
Yeah.
How have you felt it? Or is it still too early to tell?
A little bit of both. I will say like the tailgate's been pretty fun, right? It's been nice and crowded. I will say that the supporter section has been about as hype as you would expect.
Okay.
But again, with that being said, right, it's early days, right? That's only 2 games in, right? We got a long season ahead of us, man. And so I think this weekend's really going to determine the mood of the fans. But yes, it would be nice. I know the front office apparently trying to work on connecting with the fans more. We'll see how that plays out. All right, so we'll give them some time to figure it out because I think they're starting to realize they dropped the ball. But yeah, the 2 games that we've had at home, I've had a fun time, man. It's been good to catch up with everybody you don't see during the off season, that sort of thing, and now we're just going to start getting into those long drawn out days, right, of summer.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Well, speaking of this next game, right, we are playing New York Red Bulls. So let's talk a little bit about them. After the first game, Brian told me this Michael Bradley is the GOAT. You know, he's got the equivalent of La Masia in some 17-year-olds at New York Red Bulls. You know, they're going to easily win the MLS Cup. And the last two games, I haven't been impressed by them. They lost, 3-0 to Montreal. Brian, do you still claim that they will win every title?
No,
He's like, which slide do I debunk first?
One trophy. They'll win one.
Yeah. He's like, which slide do I debunk? No, but on the seriously, tell us about Red Bulls.
Well, I will say they stole a point in Toronto this last weekend using a veteran striker, Choupo-Moting, off the bench to steal one in stoppage time. So they have the strategy, Jorge, that you want. They play the kids early, get the minutes in for these young guys to kind of do the running, and then they have a Choupo-Moting to bring in off the bench. Audrey Mehmeti is 16. I think he's the main young kid that's driving a lot of the hype around what Michael Bradley's decisions have been early, because of how special he is in the middle of the field. I think Charlotte cannot allow him to set the tempo. You cannot allow a 16-year-old kid to come into your house and establish control and tempo of the game. New York Red Bulls are playing a little different now because of some of these young guys and the way Michael Bradley wants to play. They're playing with the ball a little bit more, the way they're progressing things through lines across the field. It's not just Red Bull energy drink, press high, win the ball back, advanced, and score quickly. They're playing with the ball a little bit more. It's a different style of play. Julian Hall, also up top, the striker, the young striker, 17, he has a couple goals to his name. So I think there is definitely some interesting pieces. We haven't even gotten other DPs like Forsberg because of how talented some of these younger guys are. But it goes back to the cohesion and continuity. It's still a new team, a lot of new pieces, academy kids coming up 3 or 4 games in with high just volatility in terms of how they're going to play week to week. You should be able to take advantage of them in your own house. So there's really no excuse. They've had a good run, right? 7 points in 4 games, more than I expected from New York. But Charlotte should still come in feeling like this is an important 6-point game that they need to get all 3 in.
Absolutely. I think that's funny that
it just keeps coming
so
up.
Much about continuity and cohesion, and we played most of the teams that we played do not have continuity and cohesion.
Academy kids, new coaches. It's just week after week, it's just hammering this point home.
That's so funny. I would also add that, when you have an exciting young coach and a young team too, there's also a new energy that, you may not be used to. And that's not really a tactical thing, but that's kind of that plays a certain role as well, And so, but going back to what you said, it should be a game that they should be able to take care of because they're home. They're a more experienced team. Lee, what do you need to see more of from Charlotte FC in this match against the Red Bulls?
Excitement, right? Because the Red Bulls, man, we always seem to struggle against it, right? And we know it's going to be a chippy game. We know how Zaha is, right? So all these things are coming in, and I wouldn't be surprised if Zaha doesn't talk himself off the pitch, right? But yeah, I think we need more excitement. We need to be quicker, right? Out, making it back to the middle, right? And then just spraying the ball, stretching the field, right? Let's stretch them legs and see what we got. So I think once Pep is quick, right, to flick the ball off, right? If Zaha can get in there and instead of trying to just run around and beat the man, let's just do some 1-2 passes real quick, right? Just break him down that way. And don't be so scared to take a shot outside the box, right? We've been preaching that for 2 or 3 years as well, right? It seems like, we have to get to the 6-yard line, right, to be at it before we decide we want to shoot.
Yeah, absolutely. Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, but was this Reguilón's first match for Inter Miami?
Yeah.
And he was already at the end of 2 of their set pieces, and they almost scored off of that, right? Yeah. Which is kind of insane to me, So the ability to kind of come in from the get-go from some of these guys, again, it goes back to continuity and cohesion, right? This guy's brand new, and he's already figuring out a way to be effective in a new team. And I think that's something that we're missing. I know Dean mentioned they're hiring a set piece coach, right? So that should help. But for me, it also goes back to, we need our DPs, at least one of them, to be clicking, and where I'm at, giving the nature of how things are going, I am always going to be looking at Pep Biel and Wilfred Zaha. I don't expect them to always be up for it and always give us a game. There's going to be 5, 7, 8 games where we'll have tough games through the season, and we'll see what they did in St. Louis, right, where they're able to pull up a point. Now, this one, I totally expect something different. I want these guys to be, like Lee said, like up front, get the ball, create more. Like, I need to see more chance creations, and I need to see Idan Tokomati at the end of some of these, And for me, this is a game that we can win 2 or 3-0, given the nature of who we're playing as well. Brian?
Yeah, I think you touched on it a little bit with Reguilón being at the end of those set pieces. I think that was one other thing I noticed from this last game was there was second or third or fourth runners into the box that were finding a lot of space for Miami, whether it was Suarez, David Ruiz, that one chance he had where he was just like completely unmarked.
Where was he from?
Huh? Honduras. Yeah. Honduras, got to get. See, I did it for you. I laid you up just for you, man. You totally missed the boat on that earlier in the show, so I had to bring it back. But I think that's where Emil Forsberg comes into play. I feel like he's going to be a late arriving runner out of that midfield, and so you can't leave him wide open at the top of the box because at the end of the day, he's their best creator, best finisher on that field. So I think that's another aspect of this game. You can't leave those guys unmarked at the top of the box because they have guys like Emil Forsberg who will take advantage of that space.
Yep. If you're Dean Smith and Charlotte FC, what do you think, Brian, would surprise you most about this Red Bulls team?
I think what would surprise me most is just if they control the game against Charlotte. Like, I was surprised Miami had that much control. They shouldn't have had. Santiago Morales was in the middle of that field, and he, like, brand new academy kid in his first start. Like, I know Mehmeti's good, but he's 16. Apply some pressure. That's what Montreal did. They just asked some questions of him, like, hey, you're 16. Can you actually handle the speed of play at this level? And once you ask some questions of these kids, that's when, like, they're off their game. They have to question themselves. Can they actually speed up to play? You just got to be on them. Just be a little bit more physical, be quick, essentially just do your job in terms of what the level of play and speed is at this level, and show him what that is. And then just see if he can actually still handle those situations.
Absolutely. Lee, will Wilfred Zaha get his 5th yellow card this weekend and make it 5 for 5?
Yes. I mean, it's coming. I'd be very surprised. If I was a betting man, I'd bet on that for sure.
Hey, Kalshi, where you at? Nah. I mean, I can see it happening too this weekend.
Man, they're always forgetting.
The best way to turn around a sour weekend like we had where they didn't get the 3 points is to get another 3 points at home this weekend. And you know what? 7 out of 9 points in your first 3 home games isn't the greatest, but it's also not bad. No. It's a good start. And again, you want to set the tone that it's extremely difficult to come to Charlotte and get points. Like, across the league, they should know that. And you know what? Wilfred Zaha touched on it a little bit, at his last presser, where he talked about, like, how that atmosphere, that expectation of will we score or not, like, that energy kind of feeds into them. I think he explained it the best in terms of, like, what gives Charlotte kind of that extra oomph, and so that's going to be there, right? Especially at the beginning of the season. Now it's up to these guys to show with the quality and also that added bonus of being at home to actually get the team over the line and construct more wins, right? Because this is a very important period where we're playing 5 home games, right? So they should come up with a surplus of points, especially right now. With that said, also, Crown Legacy is doing phenomenal. 3-0 win, I think, against Inter Miami. Brian Aloko scoring goals, I think he was named into the best 11, was it, of the
I think he was actually the player of the match day.
Player of the match, that's what it was. Sorry, English is my second language, so I can barely read it. And so, I mean, he's a kid that, didn't get the opportunity to come to the first team. But, I like that he's asking questions, right? Like he's making us think, well, you got this guy scoring goals in MLS Next Pro. You've got wingers that aren't as productive as they need to be. Hey, you've brought up Aaron John a couple of times. Can we not give a loco a shout one of these matches?
Yeah. Every time Tiger, Vargas, Archie come onto the field and don't put away any of their opportunities, I think that question gets louder and louder. I mean, he's leading MLS Next Pro in goal contributions, 5 goals, 2 assists in 3 games. It reminds me of how Ajiman looked at that level, where it was just like, what are you learning from him being here? It was just like, it was clearly blatantly obvious. Like he's just physically stronger than this level, just more capable than this level in a lot of different ways. And I mean, obviously Ajiman far more raw, but still it was just like, he was just bullying kids down there. And I think Aloko, we're seeing a lot of the same thing, more technical on the ball, but like still just literally just shoving people off of it and just taking what he wants out of a game. And I think the longer he's down there, especially if guys aren't getting results, you just have to ask the question, like, we're not learning enough from what he can do at that level. You got to speed up the game for him and see if he can take the next level. If you're leading that league in goal contributions, it's time to level up and see what you can do at the next level.
I think that's the best way of putting it. Like, there's nothing you're really learning from seeing this kid score goals and assists every week in, week out.
It's not helping anybody. It's not. The longer you're down there, it just doesn't help. It was the same with Ajiman. It was like when Latanzi was doing this, like, what are we doing? You're not helping him. You're not helping anybody. You're not scoring goals at the first team enough. There's just so many reasons to bring him up. And so I think that's what the situation will call here if you don't get goals in your attack. It's just, you have to change it up.
Yeah. I got to imagine for him, it's a plus too. Like you get your confidence up, you're scoring goals. And at some point you're like, if I'm his agent, I'm like, when is my guy getting an opportunity? Because it's all set up for him. Right.
Yeah. Same with Nimfasha too. Nimfasha's scoring as well. And there's no way him getting goal contributions at Next Pro is helping his Bayern situation. Like Bayern's like, oh, cool. Like what, like whatever. Like nobody, like they don't care about Next Pro stats. Like, so it's not helping Nimfasha down there either. Like for these guys, I mean, stack the points, stack the stats, because you got to do something. You got to play. Yeah. So, but at the same time,
add to that, Inter Miami just came and played a whole bunch of academy kids and got a point in Charlotte. Red Bulls is going to come with 16, 17-year-olds in their lineups. Like, these teams are making it work too. Like, hello, give these guys an opportunity when we're clearly are showing that, like, we need to see something different and we're not seeing it, With that said, Lee, give us a little score prediction. What you feeling this weekend?
2-1 us.
Nice. All right. Who's scoring them for you?
I'm going to go with Pep grabs one and Takamani.
Hey, Tokla goal. I don't know. That's a Soderski song. I don't know why I did that. Brian?
I think it's going to be 2-0. Charlotte FC's defense hasn't given up a goal at home besides an own goal. So they haven't given up a goal to the opposition yet at home. I think that can continue against New York. 2-0. I think Biel gets on the score sheet again. He's been the game winner right now. And then I think I'll go Tokla. I'm just gonna copy Lee. I think Tokla Madi. He needs one, and I think he'll get one.
Yeah, I'm going for a Tokla double. My score prediction was a 2-0 as well. And so I can see him making it happen this weekend as long as Brant Bronico starts, because ever since he's been on the pitch, we've only allowed 1 goal, and that's an own goal. And so these are just facts, so with that said, Lee, where can people find you at?
At COTFC Fan TV on all the socials. Look for after the game fan interviews now showing up on your favorite YouTube channel.
Yes. And so those are always phenomenal. Even Austin was asking me, he was like, hey, where's the recent one? I'm like, bro, that's Lee. There's people anticipating these. I'm like, why are you asking me? That's on Lee.
Sometimes I get stuck in production. And we just
Yeah, but hey, that goes to show you people are waiting for them. People are watching them. If they're asking us who have nothing to do with them when they're coming out, then you know that those are good. Brian, where can people find you at?
Yeah, you can find me on X at Bam Mauer Media. All my written content, topmin90.com. You know where to find me.
Yes, and Jorge Gonzalez, Top Bin 90 on all our social. Make sure to follow us. We wrap up another episode of the Top Bin 90 podcast. Over and outie. All right. Woo!